The sun was high above the red sky of New Terra, burning down on the dry fields. Dust blew across the cracked roads. Not many people walked outside during midday, except for those working under the heavy sun. And today, even they paused. Something was happening at the edge of town. A woman, not human, was crawling on her hands and knees, just past the border gate, her skin gray and dry like cracked stone, her body thin and shaking. In her arms she carried two small alien children, barely conscious, bundled in torn cloth. She didn't look up as guards shouted at her. She didn't run. She just kept crawling, whispering words in a broken translator strapped to her wrist. "Please, help. My babies." People gathered. Farmers, traders, guards. All stood in a loose circle staring at her. Whispers grew louder. "She's one of the sandborn," someone muttered, spitting in the dirt. "Shouldn't be here, it's illegal. She's diseased, look at her eyes. She'll bring trouble." But Jack Weller, a tall man with sunburnt skin and tired eyes, stepped through the crowd. He was known as a quiet worker, an ex-soldier who now ran one of the outer farms alone. He had seen war, seen pain, but this mother looked like something worse than death. Her arms were bleeding from thorns. Her lips were dry and cracked. Yet she didn't ask for water, didn't ask for shelter. She only whispered one thing, over and over: "Save them. Please." The children didn't cry. They were too weak to cry. One of them, smaller than the other, barely moved at all. Jack knelt down beside her. She flinched but didn't run. He looked her in the eye. "Why come here? You know humans don't let outsiders in." Her translator crackled as she responded, her voice shaking. "I walk 4 days. No food. No water. I give anything. I work your fields forever. Just save them." The crowd grew louder. "Jack, don't touch her," someone shouted. "You'll get infected." "She's tricking you. It's a trap. She's a beggar from the border clans. They steal and lie." But Jack ignored them. His eyes stayed on the children. One was burning with fever. The other's skin had turned pale blue. "Not good. She's dying," Jack muttered. "And so are they." He stood up and faced the town leader, an old man named Gris. "I'm taking them to my barn," Jack said firmly. Gris scowled. "You do. That, Jack, you're out. No trade, no medicine, no protection." Jack didn't blink. "Understood." He lifted the alien mother into his arms. She tried to resist but fainted. The children remained limp in her grasp. He carried all three out of town as the crowd parted in silence. No one stopped him, but no one helped him either. Jack reached his old farm an hour later. It sat at the edge of the forest, far from other homes. He laid the mother down on a pile of blankets in his barn. The children he placed gently in a soft crate lined with cloth. She opened her eyes. "You help me?" she whispered, barely able to breathe. Jack poured water into her hands and helped her drink. "Name?" he asked softly. "Shara," she said. "Why, run this far?" Jack asked, wiping the dirt from the baby's face. "My camp destroyed. Raiders. Others ran. I run too. But baby's sick. Too weak. No one help. I saw your sky tower. Walk to it." Jack looked at her. Her eyes were golden, glowing softly but full of fear. He nodded. "You rest. I'll take care of them tonight." Shara's hands reached out and clutched his sleeve. "I work. I labor. Your fields, your home. Forever. If they live." Jack stared at her hands. So thin. So desperate. "No deals. Just breathe. Let me help first." As she finally drifted into sleep, Jack touched one of the children's foreheads. Burning. He cursed under his breath. The town clinic had medicine for alien-compatible fever, but they would never give it to him now. He'd have to steal it. Or they'd die. The quiet night settled over the farm, but Jack didn't sleep. He was already planning the next move. to break the rules, save 3 lives, and face the wrath of his own people, and in his chest, something began to awaken again. A sense of duty, of honor, of humanity. The sun had not yet risen. The sky above Jack Weller's farm was still a mix of deep purple and cold gray. Inside the barn, a quiet tension filled the air. Shara slept on a straw mat, her body curled protectively toward her babies, though she had no strength left to hold them. Jack sat on a stool beside them, tired but awake. He had spent the whole night watching fevers rise, wiping sweat from the babies' foreheads, whispering calm words that meant nothing to them but something to him. One baby's breathing had worsened. The smaller one. Jack pressed his fingers gently to her tiny chest. Too fast. She wouldn't last another day. He stood up and walked to the corner of the barn where he kept old supplies. There, hidden under a dirty cloth, was a sealed medkit he'd taken from a crashed patrol drone months ago. He opened it slowly. Empty. He cursed softly. The only medicine that could help alien infants was in the town clinic, and the clinic was guarded. Locked. No alien was allowed treatment. That was the law. Even helping one like Zara could cost a human their place in the colony, or worse. Still, Jack looked back at the sleeping mother, her face pale, her lips cracked. The babies clung to her even in sleep, as if they knew she was all they had. Made up his mind. Before dawn, Jack dressed in his old military coat and walked into town. He didn't bring his rifle. That would raise suspicion. The streets were mostly empty, only a few traders unloading cargo. The clinic sat near the council hall, white walls, locked doors, and a biometric scanner. The good stuff, alien-compatible antibiotics, was kept in the back. Jack didn't try to enter through the front. He slipped around the back alley, pried open a narrow vent, and climbed inside like he had done during raids in his army days. Silent. Precise. Fast. Inside, he moved through the cold hallway toward the storage room. He knew the codes. He'd helped wire the doors last year, but just as he unlocked the drawer with the vials, he heard footsteps, voices. 2 people entered the hallway. Inventory check? This early? One man muttered. Council orders. Gris says someone saw Jack with an alien yesterday. Jack froze. He grabbed 3 vials, shoved them into his coat, and ducked into the shadows. The voices came closer. Too close. He spotted a ceiling panel and leapt, pulling himself up just as a guard entered the room. Sweat ran down his face. His hands shook, not from fear but from adrenaline he hadn't felt in years. The guard passed. Jack waited 30 seconds, then 30 more, before slipping out the same way he came in. Back at the barn, Zara was awake. Her eyes widened when she saw the medicine. No, it's rare, she said weakly. You took it? Jack opened a vial and injected it into the smaller baby's arm. She wouldn't have survived the day. Zara's lips trembled. They will punish you, Jack gave a tired smile. They already don't like me. Might as well give them a reason. She lowered her head, but tears spilled from her eyes. She tried to bow, to kneel, but nearly collapsed. Jack caught her gently. Don't bow to me. I'm not your master. You saved us, she whispered. He didn't answer. Instead, he set a pot of water to boil and began preparing porridge. The air in the barn smelled of dry hay and quiet hope. But peace never lasted long. That afternoon, a group of council guards came riding toward the farm on hoverbikes. Dust flew into the sky behind them. Jack saw them coming from his porch. He turned to Zara, who stood weakly in the doorway holding her children. Go to the root cellar, he said. I don't want to hide, she said softly. You must. She obeyed without another word. Jack stepped outside, arms folded, as the guard stopped at his fence. Gris, the council elder, dismounted and stared at him coldly. We know you entered the clinic, he said. And we know what you took. Jack shrugged. Must have been someone else. No one else has military training, Jack, Gris snapped. We also know about the alien. She's on your property. Jack didn't answer. Gris stepped forward. Turn her over, or be cut off from trade. No fuel, no food, no repairs. You'll be alone. Jack looked past him to the town he once protected, then back to the barn where a mother and 2 infants waited, sick and afraid. I'll take my chances, he said. Gris's eyes burned with anger. You protect a stranger over your own people? She's a mother, Jack said calmly. Your rules don't mean more than a child's life. Gris turned and mounted his bike. You'll regret this. The bikes roared away, leaving behind smoke and silence. Jera climbed from the cellar. Her face was pale, her eyes filled with fear. They will come back, she said. Jack nodded. Then we'll be ready. Jera held her babies tightly. You will lose everything. I already lost enough in the war, Jack said. I'm not losing them too. As the sun set, the barn glowed golden. The babies slept. Jera sat beside them, and for the first time in weeks she smiled. Jack stood outside watching the road. He had broken the law and saved a family. Now the real battle was coming. Inside the barn, time moved slowly. The children, Jera's babies, slept in old crates lined with clean cloth. Their breathing was steadier now. The fever had broken. Their skin, once pale and clammy, had a healthy glow again. The stolen medicine had worked. Jack watched them from a corner, arms crossed back against the wooden wall. He hadn't slept much, but he felt something warm in his chest. Not joy, not pride. Something else. Relief. Jera sat nearby, humming a strange lullaby in her native tongue. Her voice was soft, like the whisper of wind through dry leaves. Jack didn't understand the words, but he didn't need to. The emotion was clear. Love, pain, and deep, endless thanks. She looked at Jack and gave a small nod. You gave them life, she said. Jack shook his head. You did. I just stole some vials. Jera smiled weakly. Her hands trembled as she tried to pour water into a wooden cup. Let me, Jack offered, stepping forward. He helped her drink. She sipped slowly, carefully, then sighed. In my land, humans are called ghosts. They come, take, vanish. But you stayed. Jack looked away. Your people hate humans? Many do. Some have reason. Jack didn't ask what that reason was. He didn't need to. He'd seen what human soldiers had done on border colonies. Orders were orders, but they left deep scars. Jera didn't speak more. She lay down beside her children, and Jack left the barn quietly. Outside, the wind was stronger today. Dust blew across the fields, making the air thick. Jack stepped onto his porch, trying to calm his thoughts, but something was wrong. His motion sensor clicked. He glanced toward the far trees. A shadow moved, then disappeared behind the tall grass. Jack tensed. He grabbed his old plasma pistol from the wall and walked slowly toward the fence line. Nothing. No footsteps. No sound. Just the wind. He returned to the barn, his instincts on high alert now. Someone was watching us, he said quietly to Jera. She sat up quickly. They come now? Not yet. But soon. Jera looked at her babies, then at Jack. I will leave tonight. Jack frowned. And go where? I don't know, she said. Far. I hide. I survive. Jack walked closer, face firm. You won't make it a day out there. You're weak. The children still need care, and the forest is full of things worse than humans. Jera lowered her eyes. Then what? Jack hesitated. Then he said it. You stay here, as long as it takes. She stared at him in silence. Her golden eyes shimmered in the dim barn light. You will lose your home, she whispered. They will burn your fields. I'll grow new ones, Jack said simply. Jera looked down at her babies. Her fingers brushed their soft skin. You're not like the others. I was, Jack said. Not anymore. That night, Jack repaired the door locks and activated the old security drones, half-broken things from his war days. One of them still hovered weakly, blinking blue. He moved carefully, double-checking the power cells and watching the sky. If someone had seen him at the clinic, they'd be back. And next time, they wouldn't just come with words. Inside, Jera tried to help. She washed the floor, crushed dried roots for broth, and sang to the babies when they woke crying. Jack noticed something strange. Jera never asked for anything. Not food, not rest, not comfort. She only asked one question again and again. Are they safe? Every time Jack answered, yes. But deep down, he wasn't sure for how long. Just before midnight, something happened. A sharp knock on the barn door. Jack grabbed his pistol, eyes narrowed. Who's there? A voice answered, familiar, calm, and cold. Lena. Open up. Lena was one of the town guards, and Jack's old friend. He opened the door a crack. Lena stood with a lantern, her face pale. She looked past him into the barn. They're right, she said. You're hiding her. Jack didn't lie. Yes. She's alien, Jack. You know the rules. She's a mother. They'll arrest you, Lena said. They're already watching. Tomorrow morning, Gris brings soldiers. Jack clenched his jaw. I don't care. Lena looked him in the eyes. I'm not here to threaten you. Then why are you here? She pulled something from her satchel. A small white packet. More medicine. For the little one. Jack stared in shock. Lena shrugged. I saw the baby. When she looked at me, I saw my sister's face. He took the medicine with shaking hands. Thank you. I'll delay them. One day. No more. Then Lena turned and disappeared into the night. Back in the barn, Jack gave the last vial to the weaker baby. She whimpered but didn't cry. Jera watched him with wide, tearful eyes. You fight for us, she said. No, Jack whispered. I fight for what's right. He sat beside her, gun on his lap, and watched the barn door until morning. Outside, the fields swayed in the wind, and the silence felt like a storm waiting to break. The sun broke over the horizon, painting the sky with dull gold and pale orange. Birds chirped softly in the trees near the farm. But inside Jack's barn, no one felt peace. Jera woke with a start. The baby beside her coughed, weak but alive. The other stirred slightly. Both still breathed, and that was enough to keep her going. Jack hadn't slept. He sat by the door, pistol in his lap, eyes red from exhaustion. Every creak of wood or whisper of wind made him tense. He wasn't a farmer today. He was a soldier again. Jera sat beside him and placed a hand gently on his arm. You stayed awake, she said quietly. I had to, Jack replied. They're coming. Jera looked down. Then I should go now. Jack turned toward her, voice firm. We talked about this. You leave, they'll find you before the end of the road. You stay, we have a chance. Jera didn't argue, but her shoulders tightened. I don't want you hurt because of me. Jack didn't answer. He just looked out the small barn window. A speck of dust on the hill. No, a man. Someone was watching from the distance. By noon, the speck had vanished, but Jack knew what it meant. The council was sending scouts. Quiet ones. The kind who watch first, strike later. He tried to stay calm. He fixed the power fence near the barn, double-checked the drone batteries, and prepared extra ration packs. Jera helped him quietly. She never asked questions. She only listened. But then, as she was gathering cloth to wrap the babies, she found something strange. A torn sleeve with a tracking tag inside. Her hands froze. Jack? She called softly. He walked over. What is it? She showed him the cloth. His face went pale. This doesn't belong to me, he said. Jera whispered. Then someone came inside. Jack stormed outside, scanning the grass. Boot prints, fresh ones, circling the barn. Someone had come close while he slept or while he was speaking with Lena the night before. He cursed under his breath. Jera held her children tighter. They will not wait. They will come soon. Jack stared at her, breathing heavy. We need to leave. Leave? She asked. Where? He pointed toward the deep forest, far beyond the town border. There's a hidden cave I used during the war. It has supplies. We can hide there just for a few days until the babies are stronger. Jera looked down at her children, then nodded. We will follow you. They packed quickly. Blankets, food, water, small tools. Jack carried one baby strapped to his chest. Jera carried the other in her arms. They moved fast, sticking to the trees, staying off paths. But they didn't make it far. Just beyond the edge of the forest, they were met by 4 men in black coats. Council. Guards, rifles drawn. Behind them stood someone Jack didn't expect. Lena. Jack froze. What is this? Lena didn't speak. Her face was pale. The lead guard barked, Put the weapon down, Weller. Jack raised his arms slowly. She has babies. Sick babies. You really want to arrest a mother? She's an illegal alien, the man shouted. You stole from the clinic, you broke the law, Jack growled. Then punish me. Let her go. But another guard laughed. You think it's about punishment? It's about making an example. Jack stepped in front of Zara. You want to fight? The guards raised their rifles, but Lena stepped forward quickly. Stop. He didn't hurt anyone. The medicine saved lives. The guards hesitated. Lena looked at Jack, guilt all over her face. I told Gris you were protecting her. I thought he'd show mercy. I didn't know he'd send a strike team. Jack's hands tightened into fists. You betrayed us, Jera said quietly behind him. Lena looked down. I'm sorry. The leader stepped forward. Enough. We take the alien, we burn the farm, and we exile Weller. Now move. Suddenly, Zara dropped to her knees. No, she cried. Please, I'll go. But don't hurt the children. Jack turned sharply. Zara. She met his eyes. They will kill you. If I go, you live. Jack shook his head slowly. No. That's not how this ends. He reached down, placed the baby in Jera's arms, and raised his hands. You want to take someone, take me. The guard stepped forward. Lena tried to stop them, but it was too late. One guard struck Jack in the gut with his rifle butt. He fell to the ground. Jera screamed. Later, in a dusty holding pen near the river, Jack sat chained. His lip was bleeding. His coat was gone. Across the fence, Jera was locked in a small cage with her children. One baby cried softly. A guard poured a small cup of water on the ground just out of her reach, laughing. Drink it like the beast you are, Jack growled. Touch her again, and I'll break your jaw. The guard only laughed harder. Jera looked at Jack, blood on her cheek. I'm sorry. He stared at her through the bars. This isn't over. She reached through the cage. Their hands touched for a moment, and in that moment, a spark returned to Jack's eyes. They had taken his freedom, his home, but he wasn't done fighting yet. The sky over New Terra turned dark with heavy clouds. Rain was coming, rare and precious on this dry colony world, but the air near the river cages was still, heavy with silence and shame. Jack sat on the ground, wrists chained behind his back. His mouth was bleeding, one eye swollen. Still, he stayed upright. Across from him, Zara sat in the dirt, cradling her 2 babies tightly. She had wrapped her own tunic around them, even though the night wind was cold. One of the children coughed. Weak and dry. Jera whispered a lullaby, her voice broken. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes were calm. She hadn't given up. Not yet. A guard leaned against the cage post, chewing dried fruit and watching them with a smirk. Never seen a man fall so far for a dusty alien, he muttered. Jack didn't respond. You could have stayed in the town, the guard added. You had land, a name, respect. Still, Jack didn't speak. The guard chuckled. All that for a beggar with kids. That's when Jack looked up. Slowly, like an old wolf, staring down a hunter. Better to fall protecting someone, he said, voice low, than live doing nothing. The guard rolled his eyes. Big words, war hero. But Jack was already working something behind his back. The old metal wire he'd hidden in his boot weeks ago. It was still there. He bent it carefully, sliding it into the cuff lock. Yara saw what he was doing. She didn't speak. She just started singing louder, distracting the guard. Jack twisted the wire. Click. One cuff opened, then the other. He waited. That night, when the rain finally started to fall, Jack struck. The thunder masked his footsteps as he crept toward the first guard. One quick blow with the chain, crack, and the man collapsed. Jack grabbed the man's stun baton and tossed it to Zara. Use it if they get close, he whispered. Zara took it with shaking hands, cradling the babies close. Jack moved to the gate control. It was an old system, simple keypad and lever. He remembered it from his service days. Within seconds, he forced the override, and the cages unlocked. Zara's door swung open. Go to the trees, Jack said. Now. But, she began. Jack raised a hand. Please, I'll follow. She didn't argue. She picked up both children, held one on each side, and vanished into the shadows. Then Jack turned and faced the council building across the field. He wasn't running. He was going to burn it down. Inside the guard post, 3 men sat playing cards and laughing. They didn't hear the door open, but they heard the stun baton hum, right before it cracked against one man's skull. Jack moved like a ghost. 2 down before the third even reached for his weapon. The third guard aimed, but Jack threw the baton like a spear, bam, and the man dropped. Jack grabbed a rifle and 2 grenades from the weapons locker. He didn't plan to use them unless he had to. But the council needed a message. Back in the woods, Jara ran as fast as she could. The rain made the path slippery, and the baby in her left arm cried out in pain. Shh, she whispered, trying to calm him. We're almost safe. She reached a small cave, barely a hole in the rocks hidden by brush. Inside, she placed the babies down and covered the entrance with leaves. She prayed in her language, an old prayer, one meant for warriors who sacrificed themselves. Keep him safe, she whispered, or let me find him again in the next life. An hour later, fire lit up the edge of the town. Flames rose from the council storage shed, burning fast, eating through wood and fuel. Gris ran outside, screaming orders. Find Weller, find the alien. But no one found them. Jack had vanished, into the night like smoke. By morning, Jack limped into the cave. His coat was torn, blood on his sleeve, but he smiled when he saw Jara. She ran to him, catching him before he fell. You came back, she said, her voice shaking. I told you, Jack whispered. I always come back. Jara helped him lie, down beside the children. One of them, the smallest, crawled over and placed a hand on Jack's chest. His breathing slowed. Jara looked into his eyes. You saved us again. Jack gave a weak smile. You saved me first. The storm outside faded, but inside the cave something bloomed, a bond stronger than fear. A family born, not of blood, but of choice. They had escaped death, escaped the town, but now they had to survive the wilds and start again. The cave was dark and quiet, but for Zara, it felt like a sanctuary. She kept the fire low, feeding it only dry sticks. The crackling flames barely lit Jack's face, but she could see his pain. His arm was badly bruised and his ribs were cracked. Yet he said nothing about it. He only asked one question again and again. Are the babies all right? Jara always gave the same answer. They are better, thanks to you. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, no voices, no machines, no humans. But they couldn't stay here forever. Jack sat up slowly, biting back a groan. How much food do we have? Left? He asked. Jara showed him the cloth bundle, 2 dried root bars and a small pouch of water. Enough for one day, she said. Jack nodded. We'll make it last 2. He looked at the babies, curled together in a soft nest of cloth. One of them had started giggling again. The sound made Jack smile. They're strong, he said. Just like their mother. Shara smiled, but her eyes were heavy with worry. What now? She asked softly. We can't stay in the cave. They'll hunt us. We have nothing. No food, no home. Jack's expression changed. He stared at the fire for a long time. Then, we go somewhere new, he said. Somewhere better. Shara's brows furrowed. Where? Jack leaned closer. There's a neutral zone past the Green Mountains. No humans, no council. Just small settlements. People who trade quietly and mind their own business. Shara blinked. I heard of it. But it's far. I know, Jack said. 3 days by foot. Maybe more with children. But it's our best chance. She stared into his eyes. You would go just like that? I have nothing left here, Jack said. They burned my field, took my name, and I don't care. But you have them, and they deserve a life. Shara was silent for a while. Then she whispered, So do you. The next morning, they prepared to leave the cave. Jack fashioned a stretcher from broken branches and cloth. He would carry their supplies. Shara would carry the babies. The forest path was steep and wild. Vines wrapped around trees like fingers. Insects buzzed. Strange animal cries echoed through the mist. But Jack walked first, cutting through the brush, clearing the way. Shara followed, her babies held close against her chest. They moved slowly, but they moved. By sunset, they reached the edge of a river. The water was fast and cold. There was no bridge. Jack tested the current with a stick. Too strong for Shara to cross alone with the children. I'll carry them, he said. No, Shara whispered. You're hurt. I've crossed worse, he said with a smirk. He tied a rope around his waist and handed the other end to Shara. If I fall, pull hard. Don't hesitate. Shara's hands shook as she took the rope. Jack stepped into the river. The current pushed hard, but he stayed upright. Halfway across, he turned back and shouted, Hand me one! Shara carefully wrapped the smaller baby and held her out. Jack reached, cradled the child, and kept moving. He crossed and set her down on the far side, then returned. He crossed 3 times, each time weaker than the last, but he never stumbled. When they were all safe, Shara fell to her knees in the grass. You risked your life, she said. For them. Jack sat beside her, breathing heavily. For you, he corrected. Always for you. That night, they found a quiet spot under thick trees. No cave this time, just earth and stars. Shara curled up beside Jack, the children between. Them. For the first time, she leaned her head on his shoulder. You don't have to come with us, she said softly. You can go anywhere now, start again, be free. Jack looked at her with tired eyes. I already made my choice, he whispered. Shara looked confused. Why? Jack didn't smile. He didn't blink. Because I found something I didn't know I was missing, he said. You. Them. A reason to care. Shara didn't speak after that. She just held his hand, fingers trembling in his, and in that silence they both knew. They were no longer 2 strangers from different worlds. They were a family. 3 days later they saw it. Through the thinning forest and over a rise of rocky hills, the land opened wide. Green fields, low houses, solar towers standing like trees in the distance. The neutral zone. Shara stopped at the top of the hill, holding her breath. It's real, she whispered. Jack nodded, standing beside her, hand resting on the shoulder strap of his bag. Told you, he said with a tired smile. Below them, a few people were working the land. A small cart moved slowly between buildings. No flags. No armed guards, just quiet life. Shara held her babies tighter. One was asleep, the other played with her necklace. Will they accept us? She asked. Jack looked down at the peaceful town. They don't care what species you are, only that you don't bring war with you. She turned to him. And you? I'm just a farmer again, Jack said. If they'll let me be. They walked the last stretch slowly, sore and silent. At the edge of the village, a man saw them and waved. Jack waved back. Name's Corin, the man said. You look half dead. We've had a journey, Jack replied. Corin looked at Jera and her children. He didn't flinch. You brought family, good. We need more hands here. Jera's eyes widened. You don't ask questions? Corin shrugged. We've all lost something. That's why we're here. Start over. No titles, no ranks. Just work. Jack exchanged a glance with Jera. We're willing to work. Corin smiled. Then you'll be fine. The village gave them a small hut near the edge of the crops. Jera used old cloth to make beds for the babies. Jack patched the broken windows. In 2 days, he had already joined the morning water crews, carrying barrels and clearing blocked pipes. Jera, though still weak, offered to help with planting. When one elder told her to rest instead, she insisted, I promised I would work for safety. I will keep that promise. Her hands bled, her legs ached, but she smiled. Her children were safe now, and that meant everything. A week passed, then 2. Each day. Jack worked harder than the last, never complaining. Jera cooked for the village children and taught them alien songs. The babies grew stronger, their laughter echoing in the fields. One evening, while Jera washed their clothes at the river, Jack stood behind her. They love it here, he said. Jera looked at the twins. So do I. Jack took a breath. I never asked, he said. Your people, what were they like? Jera looked into the water. Kind, gentle. But we were too peaceful. When the raiders came, we didn't know how to fight back. I ran because I had no choice. Jack nodded. You did the right thing. Jera turned to him. So did you. Jack didn't say anything. He just watched the river flow. Then Jera asked the question that had been in her heart for days. If we stay here, do we stay as survivors, or as something more? Jack turned slowly, his face unreadable. I don't know how to be anything else, he said, except someone who protects what he loves. Jera reached for his hand. Then, protect this. That night under the stars, Jack sat with Jera on the roof of their hut. The babies slept inside. The wind was soft, brushing their faces like a lullaby. Do you regret helping me? Jera asked. Jack laughed under his breath. Every time my back aches? No. She smiled. You lost your land, your people, your name. Jack looked at her. But I gained something better. Jera leaned against him. In my language, she whispered. We have a word for this. What is it? Tarian. It means the one who stayed when others ran. Jack was silent for a long time. Then he said, Call me that from now on. Jera laughed quietly. Very well, Tarian. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A traveler arrived at the village gate, dusty, nervous, and out of breath. He asked for Jack. Jack stepped forward, cautious. The man pulled a folded letter from his bag. From a friend, she said to find you. She's watching. The town council. They think you're dead. Jack took the letter. He recognized the writing. Lena. It read, I slowed them down, told them you crossed the river and vanished. I don't know how long I can keep them away. But you gave them a scare, Jack. People are asking questions. Some are starting to doubt the council. Maybe change is coming. Live free. And keep them safe. Jack folded the letter and slipped it into his coat. Jera looked at him. What does it say? He smiled. It says, we did more than survive. We started something. She took his hand, and just like that, their new life truly began. Mother who begged for her babies, a soldier who stood when no one else would, and a small village where hope grew again in quiet soil.